Hi everyone.
Hi.
Welcome back. Mike,
Yes.
Carla, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Brandy, nice to see you again. How are you all doing today?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in. It's nice to see you again. I know it's not an easy drive down here sometimes with the traffic, but I appreciate you coming back to see us again. I know last week we just did sort of an initial intake session. We just went over some kind of logistical things and stuff like that. So this will be our actual first real session together. There is one thing that I needed to go over with you all again that I didn't quite cover with you last week, and that's my mistake, and that's confidentiality. So I know we talked a little bit about that, but I just wanted to reiterate what is confidentiality and what can be kept confidential and what can't. So basically, confidentiality means that anything that we say in here, that you say to me, or that my supervisor and my colleagues hear through the mirror there, is not going to be repeated outside of these walls. I'm bound by law and by ethical standards to keep what we say confidential, as are the other people that work here that are observing these sessions. So I do want to go over the few things that, a few different things that could lead to a break in confidentiality. So like we said last time, if I feel as though any of you are a threat to harm yourself or anyone else, then that could lead to me having to break confidentiality. I would have to break confidentiality. If I suspect that there's abuse in the family, whether it's towards a child or an elderly person, and that could be in the form of sexual, emotional, or physical abuse, I would have to break confidentiality at that point. If I felt as though one of you might be targeting a specific population or location or event, then I would be forced to break confidentiality. And then lastly, if I have a court order, like if something were to happen with the family and I was summoned to court to speak on a case, then I would be required to break confidentiality at that point as well. The only other thing is if either Mike or Brandy wanted to release information to another professional, be it another mental health professional or medical professional, I would need both of your signatures in that case in order to release that information. But if you wanted me to pass that along, I could do that as well. Have any questions about that?
I don't think so.
Okay. Okay, great. Good. Well, just kind of a cleanup thing from last week, so now we can get started on our actual session. Thank you for listening to that again. So I know we talked a little bit about this last week, but what brings you all here today? What's been going on with the family that made? I guess I'll start with you, Brandy, since you called to make the appointment. But
Well, so to go back a little bit, Mike has drinking problems, and this was a couple months ago, he was drinking and driving, and he had Carla in the car with him, and he got a DUI, and he went to jail, and then he went to treatment, and I've had to, raise Carla on my own in that time, and all of that, and now that he's back, I think that he's still drinking, and I think that he's lying, and I think that he's using our daughter to cover up for him, something that she knows, and I don't trust him. I don't want him to be alone with her. I don't want him to drive her in the car. I don't trust that, he's not still drinking. He's acting the same way. He's not communicating with me. He doesn't call me. He doesn't answer when I call. I don't know where he is, what the hell he does. just everything, same exact things how it was when he was using. And I'm very religious and I don't want to get divorced, but if that's what it is, that's what it is. I won't be putting up with that behavior.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about your Catholic faith last time. That seems like it's very important to you.
Oh yeah, it always has been. It's been in my family, and my parents, and it was passed down to me. And I attend church regularly, and Carla does too. We go together all the time, and it's not very. Divorce is not something that Catholic religion really allows for or looks at as good, and so I respect my religion and I don't want that, which is why I'm here. And after I had scheduled the appointment, I was like, okay, this is a step, we'll go in and we'll see what happens. And then only 2 days ago, or before coming in here, to have my mom call me and tell me that there are beer bottles in our trash in our driveway. So now here we are. That just confirms what I already know, that he's still drinking. So I don't even know if this is gonna work or not, but that's what we are. Mom.
So it sounds like you're feeling like you're being almost pulled in two different directions. I mean, because on the one hand, you have this commitment to your faith and your family, and you want to have that stick together and work, make it work. But on the other hand, you're not so sure if it's in the best interest for the family.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to, I don't want to rush into a divorce. I'm thinking of Carla and how that'll affect her, and I don't want people to talk, and I don't want, all of that. But then essentially, if he's still drinking, I don't want that. I don't want to be around him. I don't trust him, and if he's gonna keep lying and keep drinking, I don't want to keep being married to someone like that. So.
You feel a little bit betrayed by this most recent act.
Yeah, I mean, we all agreed to come in as a family and start therapy to work on things, and he's still lying. How can we go to therapy and he's still lying? He's drinking in our house.
You thought that he was committed to this process.
Yeah, definitely. I thought that we all were, and that just proves, that he's making me look like a fool. He's not even trying to hide it this time around. At least the first time around he was hiding it. And now he's just drinking in our house and still lying about it. I don't know what's worse. I really don't.
That must be so aggravating.
Yeah, it is.
Well, thank you for sharing. Mike, so why do you think you're here today? What brings your family in?
Well, I mean, I know me and Carla, or I know me and Brandy have been fighting a lot, and I know that it's affecting Carla, and I don't want to see that. I don't want a divorce. I do want to save our family. Yeah.
So you have a similar commitment that Brandy does to wanting the family to stay together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that driven by a faith of yours as well?
No, the church thing is more for her and for Carla and Brandy. That's always been more their thing. For me lately, it's been going to AA meetings has been really important to me, and yeah, so I want to keep going with that, continue in my recovery.
It sounds like you have a strong commitment to your family.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're here today to work on these issues that you're having, and yeah.
She's got to quit accusing me of shit I ain't doing. I mean, that's. So yeah, that needs to happen.
So you feel like she's accusing you of things that you haven't done?
Yeah.
So you disagree that you haven't been drinking as
I have not been drinking. I mean,
Has Carla been drinking in her house? I sure as hell don't
really,
drink.
I would throw beer bottles away where you can find them, that's what I would do if I was trying to hide this or.
Apparently, what else are they doing in our driveway?
Okay, well, I can see there's a disagreement here about what's been
Yeah.
going on at the
Yeah,
house.
no kidding.
Okay, alright.
And it's because her mom's involved. That's our problem.
My mom.
Yeah, your mom.
Back off.
She gets her all riled
Hold
up.
on 1 second. Micah, you brought up Brandy's mom. I'd like you to maybe say a little bit more about that. What is
That woman has never liked me. She gets Brandy all riled up. I mean, like with the beer bottles. I know, Brandy, I know she knows what I'm saying. That obviously, if I'm trying to hide something, I'm not going to throw those beer bottles away in the front of the house where Carla can find it, where people can find it if I'm hiding it. But then, she talks to her mom for 5 minutes. I mean, it was her mom that got all riled up in the first place. It's her mom going through our trash. Who
She
does?
wasn't going through our trash. She was
So you
throwing
think
something
that-
away.
So you think that Brandy's mom, what is your mom's name?
Barbara.
Barbara. Okay, so Mike, you feel as though Barbara sort of maybe has it out for you a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
that woman has never liked me.
Maybe there's a reason for that. Just saying.
I'm glad you think so.
Why do you think that your mom has never liked Mike?
Well, my dad was also, this goes back to my dad and him being an alcoholic and my mom having to deal with him. And, he was.
Not your dad.
And
Not your dad.
all of that, and I think she sees that in him, and especially the first time around when he was lying and using, she saw that, and, as a mom, she's there for me and she's supporting me, and then, we kind of got married quickly.
Alright, so Brandy, you were talking a little bit about your mom and how she sees some of her husband, your dad, in Mike.
I think so. I mean, it was hard for her to go through that and then to see the alcohol and everything being present in my relationship. So I think as a mom, she's scared that the same thing's gonna happen, and then
I'm not
Like I
bad,
mentioned,
Brandy.
and then like I mentioned, we got married rather quickly. I got pregnant and we got married, and I don't think she ever got a chance to really get to know him. And then the whole alcohol thing happened, and that's all she saw, and so
So she doesn't trust Mike either.
no, she doesn't at all.
Okay. So I'm, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm sensing a little bit of disagreement about the way that this whole problem is being handled. I guess I'd like to get a little bit of a clearer picture about the way life is at your house, the way things are handled when these problems arise. And the way that I'm going to kind of the way that I'm going to get a better understanding of this is to do a little activity with the three of you. And I haven't actually seen Carla's perspective on everything so far. So what I'm going to have her do is I'm going to have her arrange the three of you. We're all going to stand up, and we're going to actually physically arrange ourselves, or Carla's going to physically arrange the three of you in the way that she sees the family as it is right now. So we're going to kind of I'm going to get a better understanding of the way things are at your house.
So
Does that sound like an okay idea?
So she's the only one that gets to rearrange or put us.
Yep, that she's going to be the one to do that today. I'm going to get her perspective on it, and then we can talk about it. Does that sound like something that you all would be willing to try?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's stand up. And so Carla, I'm just going to have you place your mom and your dad anywhere in the room. However, be as creative as you want, use your imagination, and so just kind of set them in such a way that you kind of think things are at your house right now.
No.
No, actually, I want to. try to keep them.
Okay. All right. So Carla, can you explain to me what's going on and why you start with your mom and why you put her in this position?
Well, I feel like as soon as Dad gets home from work, they always fight. Pretty much always. And as soon as he walks in the door, then she yells at him. And usually because he didn't call or she didn't know who he was. And I made her feel like that because usually she was blaming him for not calling her, not coming home like that.
And how does that feel to you to see your mother like this, to be yelling and blaming your dad? What does that mean for you?
It makes me feel sad because I just want him to get along and not yell. And it feels like whenever he gets home, I can lose that. And so it makes me feel bad for that too because I don't think they always do something like that.
So you feel bad. Do you ever feel scared that something might come between you and your dad that would cause them to split up?
Yeah, I'm really worried that they might get a divorce. My mom said that last week that that maybe she didn't want to be with Dad anymore. And that made me feel really scared. I don't want my parents to be together.
What's scary about your parents not being together? What would that mean?
I feel like I wouldn't get to see Dad at all. Mom doesn't let us hang out anymore because ever since like the incident with the driving, we don't really get any fun stuff together anymore or hang out. Mom's afraid that that'll happen again, which I told her it won't, but so I think if they got divorced and lived in separate houses, she would never let us
You would never get to see your dad anymore.
Now we really sad.
That sounds very sad.
I miss him.
I'm sure you would. Well, thank you for sharing that with me. Randy, what does it feel like to you to hear Carla say that she thinks of you in this way, as this finger pointing, blaming, yelling person?
It's sad. I mean, I didn't even just like looking at this. I didn't realize that's how she perceives us. That we're always doing this, and I didn't realize, that she's walking us out, like pushing us away. So that's hard. It's sad to see her pushing us away from her.
Why do you think she is?
I think it's because of what she said. She thinks or she sees that I'm always blaming Mike and he's defending himself and we're always arguing and yelling and she's always in the middle. And she's had it.
So you say you're always blaming Mike. Why do you think that you do that?
I don't think he's lying.
I think he's lying.
I do. I think that he's lying and I think that he's still using and this is how I get my point across.
So when you
Well,
Thanks for keeping
yeah.
So when you think that he's lying and still drinking, still using, not being truthful with you, does that hurt?
Yeah, I mean, because I want to think that we're going to fix our family, and I want to think that we still love each other and care for one another, and then, you know, when he does that and he lies, and it's me right back at that place of, you know, he doesn't care, he doesn't want to find it, he might not be able to make it.
It sounds scary.
Yeah, it is, and I don't, I guess a lot of it goes back to I don't want to have to raise Carl on my own again, and that was already hard enough when he was in treatment. A lot of things.
Yeah. Is there anything that has happened to you before that makes you afraid that you might have to raise Carla by yourself?
Before, like, in general, anything?
Well, I guess what I'm getting at is you mentioned earlier a little bit about your mother and your her relationship with your father. So,
Yeah,
is there, I guess what I'm wondering is there some lingering fear from the way what happened with your family when you were a child, that this may be sort of repeating itself?
yeah, I mean, I wonder. You know, my mom, even though my dad was around, you know, he was drunk 99% of the time. And so she did have to take care of my sister and I on her own. And that was hard. And she fears that too, that I'm going to have to do the same thing. And I saw how hard it was for her to do that. It's not easy to be a single mom. And I do worry about that. You know, what if that was hard when he was in treatment for a month. That was a month, you know. And so yeah, it is scary to think that I might have to do this on my own.
And not only that, you were talking earlier about the strength of your faith and the importance that places on keeping a family together and you know, the value of marriage. And I imagine it might be scary to think that if your marriage were to fail, in the eyes of the church, that would be looked down upon.
Yeah, it would be. It would be, and I mean, I've developed a church family, you know, the people that I'm close with, and I know they would look at that as very negative too. I know people would talk, and just the way that I see religion too, I wouldn't want to go against that, because divorce isn't something that you strive for or do. And so that's my last thing that I want to do. That's the last thing that I want to do. But it all goes down to, you know, if he is still using and drinking and lying to me about it and potentially putting our daughter in danger again, that I will have to take the consequences of, you know, going into a religion.
Do you think that these fears of losing your family and the social repercussions that may have within your church, and then the repercussions of you just having to raise Carla by yourself, much like your mother had to do with you, do you think those underlying fears could be part of the reason that you become so upset and blame Mike for some of his actions? Could you be feeling afraid deep down?
I think so. I mean, you know, it's hard for me to admit that because I want to be strong for Carla and for myself. And so it's hard to think of myself as being afraid, you know. But I think, I don't know, I think you're right. I don't want to go there. You know, I don't want to be a single mom and get divorced and be the shameful person in our community and in the church.
And those fears are probably amplified when Mike doesn't call.
Yeah, because you know, it just confirms what I'm already thinking. You know, so if I'm sitting there thinking that he's drinking and then he doesn't come, and then I know that he comes from, or gets off from work at like 5, and it's 8 o'clock and he's not home. Well, where the hell are you? Like, you haven't called. So, yeah, instantly I'm like, well, are they not going to work again? So, yeah, it goes back to that again. Where is this going to lead us to?
It must be terrifying. Well, thank you for being willing to open up a little bit and explore those feelings a little bit more with me. And then, Mike, I also want to hear from you. What does it feel like to you to have Carla perceive your family and you in particular in this way?
Obviously I don't like it. I hate that she feels like she has to be between us, but I know that she's right. I know it's been like that for her. And that makes me feel sad.
What about, notice she has you covering your ears. What do you think that means?
Well, I think that was pretty smart on her part, because I don't want to be yelled at all the time. I don't want to be nagged all the time. I don't want to listen to it anymore. So this is about how I feel.
Feel frustrated about being nagged?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I'm working real hard at, going to meetings, having gone through all that work in rehab. Trying really hard. It's really hard not to drink. I'm really trying to do the best I can. And I don't feel like Brandon sees any of it.
Sounds like you're underappreciated for the amount of effort you put into this family.
Yeah. Definitely.
And what is it about feeling unappreciated or underappreciated that is so hurtful for you?
Oh, I guess just that, I'm the one who's been providing for this family. I'm the one that works. I'm the one bringing in money, and I always have been. And I have one downtime. I have one time where everything falls apart. And it's so hard, and I'm trying so hard. And so it's just, I kind of feel like just keeping it on down.
So your work to get sober, to keep the family together, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds to me like you really want this family.
Yeah, I do. Always have.
And what if it doesn't?
I don't think I can handle it if it doesn't. This is what I want. I'm in rehab. I'm not just fighting for myself. I'm fighting for the three of us.
What does that mean if it doesn't? What does that mean for you?
It means I failed. It means that I couldn't provide and I couldn't keep us together.
And then you can go how?
Yeah. I'm not somebody to walk away from problems. I solve problems. That's what I do. That's what I've done since I was young.
So it must be terrifying to not know how to solve this one.
I feel like there must be a way that I would know how. There's got to be something I can do.
Well, thank you all for sharing. You can have a seat now. I appreciate you all opening up about that with me. I'm going to check our time here. So, one thing that we haven't really talked about yet, we kind of got into it a little bit with Mike, but we just did an activity to say how things are. I'm curious to know how you each would like it to be. If you had a longing for a perfect family, perfect life, What would that look like? Start with you.
Well, I mean, definitely wouldn't be. I guess I definitely would be putting here on Mike. And I guess he wouldn't have to cover his ears. So I wouldn't be yelling. But I also think that I wouldn't be yelling because he would be communicating more. So I think that it goes both ways. I think that if he was more open with me and he called and checked in and was willing to tell me about whatever's going on, that I would be more understanding and I wouldn't have to get so out of control not knowing where he is or what he's doing. And so I think that that piece of it would have me respond differently. And I think Carla wouldn't have to spend so much of her time trying to, like keep us apart, essentially, and keep us away from her, in a sense, and to protect herself. I think that she would be enjoying things that a 12-year-old enjoys and not be so concerned with what her mom and dad are doing. I think that Mike and I would be able to take care of our problems on our own without our daughter trying to do it for us.
So ideally, you would like to see more clear communication between yourself and Mike that would allow you to work out your problems amongst yourselves without having to involve Carla.
Yeah, it all goes back down to communication.
Thank you. And how about you, Mike? What do you long for to have in your family?
I wish that Brandy trusted me. I wish she would listen to me and believe me. I wish I felt like she was on my side again. She hasn't been for a long time. I wish Carla didn't have to hear any fighting. I wish we could just talk.
So, actually, I'm hearing some similarities there that maybe a little bit of a clear communication between the two of you would be very helpful.
Yeah.
How about you, Carla? You could describe your perfect family in a way.
My mom and dad definitely would be fighting. They would get along and we would do fun stuff again. Like we used to go to the park a lot and ride bikes and race. And that was really fun. So I wish we did that again. And have movie nights, we should have movie nights, and I would hang out with your candy, and we had popcorn and stuff, and we would all be together and watch movies. Yeah, and I think Dad wouldn't drink, maybe no alcohol anywhere that he could ever get to. And then I think Mom wouldn't be so mad. So, that would help. We would just have fun and really
Fun, having fun. You said that you remember a time when it used to be that way. So just kind of get back to that happy place.
that's how we do.
Thank you. So we talked a little bit about communication, and I am a big believer that communication between families is crucial. Positive, healthy communication is difficult to attain. It's much harder than it sounds. So what I would like to do now is to practice that. So Carla, I'm actually going to have you pull your chair over here because this activity is just going to be between your parents.
Okay. Are you here.
It's great, yeah. And so part of what I do is actually coach couples in their communication to help them learn how to communicate with each other better. And I think that is very applicable to what's going on between the two of you right now. So what I'm going to have you do is push your chairs together so that they're facing each other. You don't have to be touching, but just so that you're looking at each other. Excuse me. And we're going to practice talking to one another in such a way that we really listen and really understand what the other person is saying. So, Brandy, I'm going to start with you. I want you, so we talked a little bit about the way things are now and some of the fears that we have about the current status of your family. And then we also talked about the way you would like things to be. So, I want you to talk directly to Mike and to tell him what you need from him so that he will understand what it takes to go from where things are now to where you want them to be.
I need for you to start communicating with me more. And you understand that, when I'm at home, when you're at work, I know that you get off around 5 or 6 and it's 8:30 or 9 and I haven't heard from you. I instantly assume and think that you're out drinking again because that's what you used to do before. You were drinking. So, and I've tried calling you before too. You never want to answer to my calls, which just makes things worse when you get home because that's already been intensified. You're not home and I've called you and you didn't answer. So of course now I'm 100% sure you're drinking because again, I used to call you before too and you would be so drunk that you wouldn't know where you left your phone or you wouldn't even know how to answer it. So I'm like, is that what it is? So if I don't know that, I can't react to you in any other way than how I have been in these past 4 months.
Thank you. Now, Mike, what I'd like to hear from you is to reflect back to Brandy what it is you heard her say. And you can start by saying, what I'm hearing you say is, because the key in this whole process is that not just to hear Brandy say something, but that you are actually understanding what it is she's saying, and vice versa. So you can go ahead now.
What I'm hearing is that you need to call me, and that if you call me, I need to answer, or if I don't answer, I need to call you back. And I'm hearing that you're really worried, and it was really bad. It was tough before when I was drinking, and that you get worried that I'm drinking again. And instead of just looking away or going to a meeting, I'm hearing that you think that I'm not drunk again.
Is that right? Is there anything else that would be important for Mike to understand about how you're feeling in order for him to better understand your experience of this situation?
I just need him to understand the calling. It's not that I need him to check in with me. And it's not like I need him to call me back and like I need him to answer. It's about you also wanting to do that. It's not, I'm not trying to call you.
I don't want to be yelled at.
That's not really the conversation.
But I'm not trying to call you to, I'm not trying to call and be like, what are you doing? Where are you? What's going on? I'm trying to call and see, hey, what are you going to be doing so I can start dinner? And then you don't answer because you think I'm calling to attack, but by you not answering, I am attacking at night because you didn't answer and I haven't heard from you all day. So I need you to understand that it's not about me trying to track you down for just because I'm controlling, and it's not like I need you to call me every hour to check in. It's about wanting to do that. And it's about I want you to want to call me and talk to me and tell me where you are, what you've got going on, so that I can plan around that as well, and so that we can have a better sense of who's where and doing what.
So what did she just say?
What I heard is that you want me to want to call you.
I don't want it to be like a job. I don't want it to be a job that you don't like. It's like, oh, shit, it's 6 o'clock. Did you call Randy? Oh, it's 7. I missed the call. It's about wanting to be like, hey, let me call her and let her know that I'm going to be late for work. She doesn't worry. I think where I am, and then, obviously if you call and it's 7 o'clock and you say, hey, I just got off work a little late, I'll be home around 8 or 9. There's no reason for me to attack you when you get home because I already know that you're going to be coming home late and I know that you got off work late. So I think that.
Well, Mike, it's your turn to tell Brandy what it is that you need her to understand about you for you to move from where things are now into an ideal family.
Yes, for that, I just need you to understand that this has been a really hard time for me. I know I'm trying. I'm working hard at my job. I'm working hard at recovery. I'm working hard to be a good dad. And I'm so stressed with all that. I just don't want to get yelled at. I don't like that you worry. But it just makes me, I just feel like you worry because you don't trust me and you're not listening and you don't realize.
Now, Brandy, I want you to do exactly what Mike did for you, was to repeat back to him what it is you heard him say.
I heard that you are stressed and that you don't want to call and get yelled at because you are working hard at your job and you're working your recovery hard too and you're working hard to do a good job. All of that is causing stress, and the last thing that you want is to call.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would need her to understand about your experience of this problem?
Yeah, I guess I want her to know. I want you to know I'm not trying to ruin you. And I know that's what ends up happening, but I don't want to ruin you.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, we only have about 5 minutes left in our session today, so Carla, actually, why don't you bring your chair back around?
Oh.
Thank you for engaging in that activity with me. Brandy, one thing I really liked about what you did today was you were willing to open up about some of the underlying fears and wants that you have about your family, about losing your family and what that might mean for you in terms of both your faith and a repetition of what happened to you as a child. I truly appreciated your willingness to explore that with me.
It's hard. It really is.
I could tell that it isn't easy to do that. And Mike, I really appreciated your resiliency and your toughness in wanting to keep this family together. I can tell that you've been working very hard to regain your sobriety and to become a better father and a better husband. And I appreciate you even coming in here today to work on that. I can tell that it's very important to you. And Carla, I very much appreciate your willingness to help out with identifying the problems that your family might be going through. I think that when you sculpted your parents and yourself in that activity that we did earlier, I think it really caused them to open their eyes a little bit to some of the issues that are going on for you in the household, which they might not have been aware of either. So I appreciate that you did that.
You're welcome.
So, before we close here, I guess I just want to ask if there's anything else that you all can do for me. As you know, I'm a counselor in training, so I'm always looking for feedback. Did this go as expected? Was there anything that surprised you? Was there anything that could have been different?
I was surprised that we did talk a little bit about yelling. That did surprise me. That's been a long time.
I really see therapy as doing activities and really being active, so that was interesting. But I think it was helpful because we don't get to see. We hear how Carla feels sometimes, and she tells us. But I guess I don't know. It was just shocking to me to see the way that she feels this. So.
That's good. So, as we close here today, there are still some things that I would like to work on with you all that we just didn't have time for today. So if you'd be willing, I would love it if you would come back again for another session next week. Would that be something you might be interested in?
Yeah, I think so.
Great. Would the same day and time work well for you?
Just with that.
Yeah.
Works with your schedule. Okay, great. Great, well, then we'll go out front and get you scheduled in for next week, and I'll see you then. Thank you so much for coming. It was great to see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.